Well, maybe we can chat about that for a moment, where we talk about, if you will, the loss of ego in the spiritual context. We hear quantum physicists talk about quantum consciousness. We hear people talk about oneness. Is once you separate out the thought and there just is the is that the oneness we're talking about, or what are your thoughts?
So we're using thought to point to something that's beyond thought. That's how it works. Not to the sense of separateness or separation arises through the continuous labeling of all your life experiences, which is particularly harmful in the case of other human beings. When you relate to other human beings, the moment you meet somebody, you again, through this stream of thinking that is involuntary and arises through your conditioning, will immediately interpret the other person with thoughts. They're called judgments, good or bad, usually more negative than positive in most people's cases. And that creates a sense of separation. Even when you walk in the forest or landscape and you immediately interpret everything, the reality that you inhabit becomes a conceptual reality, so you lose touch. It's as if a screen were suddenly arising between yourself and the aliveness around you in other human beings, in nature. So you cannot sense the inherent aliveness in nature anymore, and you cannot sense the inherent aliveness in another human being anymore, because you reduce everything to mental concepts. So when you are totally, continuously immersed in the thinking, stream of thinking, you begin to inhabit a conceptual reality which separates you from the actual aliveness that's all around you. And that's so the source of separation, sense of separation, is involuntary, continuous labeling of everything, and including yourself. You do it to yourself. You label yourself in certain ways. People have opinions about who they are, and they vary. Some people are predominantly negative, which is very unpleasant to live with a very self-critical mind that always says, oh, why did you do that? You should have done better, and so on. Maybe it's your mother talking still, but it's thought. So you have that. It's a dreadful thing to have that in your head. So then you can become free of that by realizing these are the thoughts and here's the actual situation. I've lost the train of thought, by the way.
We can.
We're talking about separation. So this is separation.
So he
arises.
separated his I am
That's
from
right.
his thoughts. So that's how you do it.
Separation then arises through that, and you can, when you go into nature, really we can talk about it in terms of knowing. You can know. I like walking in nature, in the forest, and I can do that in two ways. I can walk through the forest and look at the trees and birds and the ferns and all the wonderful things, and comment on it and say, it's that, it's called that, or look at this wonderful bird, I wonder what it's called, and so on, and all kinds of commentary. That's one way of knowing the forest, but I can also walk through the forest and simply be absolutely present and observe without labeling it. In that sense, from the conceptual point of view, I don't know anything anymore, but there is a deeper knowing there where I can suddenly sense something that the conceptual mind can never feel, and that is the forest is alive. There is an energy field there. There is even a sacredness there, and everything is intensely alive. And I become still, and there is a sense of merging with that which you are observing with your sense perceptions. And so the sense of separation goes away, and there is a sense of oneness with that which you are perceiving. There's no longer the me and the other, because that's through conceptualization. And that's beautiful when you can walk in a forest like that. the experience of being in the forest is greatly enhanced. And if you can relate to another human being like that, then there is a true relating. And here we come to compassion. I would say that true compassion with another human being, which is closely related to the ability to empathize, to feel the beingness of the other, to sense your way into the other, is also closely related to what we could call goodwill towards another being, benevolence. Confucius already pointed to benevolence as one of the most important things. He said, you're not even fully human if the faculty of benevolence, which is goodwill, they're really all facets of the same faculty, has not arisen in you. Confucius said, you're not even fully human yet. So that compassion, the benevolence, the goodwill, the ability to empathize, to ultimately recognize the other as not absolutely other, all arises when the habitual and unconscious and compulsive labeling of others no longer operates. And that's where compassion can arise.